Took me a while, but finally came to the realization that leaf springs this big and heavy just weren't going to work for comfort, especially off-road. So I decided to go with the Kettleman 4-link airbag system. I've used bags in the past with good luck. Initially, I wasn't going to do it because all the instructions I read, you have to cut and torch a bunch of things off the frame. The 19 and newer, all the stuff on bolts, so you don't have to cut or torch anything. Here you can see everything removed. Well, these are just the overload spring stops, but you can see there's a pretty ridiculous amount of rust behind them because they paint the frame after. So that's all going to be addressed. You see everything on bolts. No cutting, torching, grinding. There's a little bit. It's minimal. These are the overload spring mounts. Yeah, that spring's heavy. As you can see, it's huge. It's a 19,500 pound GBWR. So that's the biggest spring pack Ram makes. There was rust basically behind every single thing I removed, even the perch. So I wire wheeled everything, got every speck of rust I could off of. I treated it all with the POR 15. Used a metal ready acid etch to get rid of it, and then cover it up. I've had great luck with it in the past, so it was kind of a no-brainer for this. The perch was basically just tack welded. It was kind of crazy. This is all the POR 15. Basically painted most of the outside face of the frame and the axle. I've had amazing luck with this stuff. I used it all on my stuff on the East Coast that's usually prone to salt and rust. I've never had an issue with it. There's the kit. Total pallet weighed almost 700 pounds. That's one hell of a sway bar. Instructions are absolute dog shit. They're basically useless. Most of this install is fairly straightforward just by looking at a couple pictures I found on their website. But the instructions are for a 2008, and obviously a ton of stuff has changed. Front brackets go on first, then the lower brackets onto the axle. They fit right on with the axle being square. It's kind of self-explanatory. They give you the measurements. It has to be like 3 3/4 inch off the inside face of the caliper. So pretty straightforward. And you mount up the arms. You have to obviously take into account your pinion angle, which you'll see it. My pinion angle finder was on there the whole time. It's a little orange thing. So I measured it stock before I ripped it all apart. And then I made sure I kept it at the 23 degree that it was. Don't use that number. Every truck's going to vary depending on wheelbase and whatnot. There it is. That's my pinion angle finder. Basically left that in the same spot the whole time. That's the Panhard bar. The hardware on this entire thing is quite beefy, although somewhat annoying. There's just a bunch of bags and nothing's labeled. So there's a whole bunch of trial and error. Say half the time of this install was just trying to figure out what bolt goes where. So basically, front and rear link brackets. Then you just adjust the links to get close. And you take all the lift off. Fully installed. I'd say it took me a day and a half to get most of it done. A lot of it was just fine tuning, cleaning up the brake line routing, which they don't provide brackets for anymore. That was just for the older models. The sway bar is just insane. It's at least double the size of the stock one. I'm going to replace the hardware on that. That hardware did not come in the bag, or if it did, I haven't found it yet. But I'd say this could easily be done in a long day if the hardware was organized, but I spent hours going through all the hardware. And these links take different bolts and different holes for different reasons. But all in all, it's fairly straightforward. I just had to drill a couple holes in the frame. It seems like they vary year to year. Those are the brake line. I basically just used the stock brackets, kind of bent them to where I needed them to be. More of the Panhard. I don't like that top bracket you see there. That's just how it falls into place. Not a giant fan of that. But it doesn't kink any lines and everything goes smooth. So the bags you're looking at now, I thought they were too short, but that's actually how they sit. I have this set right now at the height that it was stock, which is 34 inches to bottom of frame rail. And this is where the bags sit when it is adjusted to stock height. I thought they were too short and it was overextending them, but apparently that's how these bags work. They roll up and down in that curved sleeve there. There's a little time lapse so you can see the total movement here. It's got about 9 inches of adjustability. The airlines are going to be run to the back. Here's another angle of it so you can see it. I'm going to run some protectant around the parking brake. This is where they suggest to route it, but it's obviously, you can see it's going to rub on things. It's probably going to get some sort of sheathing on it. That's about it. Super happy with the initial test drive.